I arrived with my kid dressed up, carrying a gift basket we made by hand. My dad stepped outside, closed the door behind him, and said, "Let's not make things uncomfortable today." I just nodded, took my son's hand, and left. 30 minutes later, my sister called, panicked. "Why is the family account locked?" "Mom's crying." I didn't answer. I didn't plan on revenge. That wasn't the point. I just wanted them to see my son in his lion costume, holding a basket we made together, smiling like he didn't know what they'd done to me. We rang the bell. I heard footsteps, then the door opened halfway. My dad stepped out and pulled it shut behind him. He looked at the basket, then at me. "Let's not create discomfort today." That's all he said. No hello. No birthday greetings. Nothing about the fact that I drove an hour, or that my son picked flowers on the way because he thought grandma liked yellow. I didn't argue. I just turned around, took my son's hand, and walked back to the car. Half an hour later, we were at a gas station, sharing a juice box. My phone rang. It was my sister. She sounded out of breath. "Why is the family account blocked?" "Mom is crying." I didn't answer. I watched the notification fade from the screen. Then I opened the glove compartment, took out the envelope, and texted her one word. The envelope had been sitting in my glove compartment for 3 weeks. I didn't tell anyone I had it. I wasn't even sure I'd ever use it. But after standing on that porch with a child holding a handmade gift and still being treated like a liability, I stopped feeling guilty. My sister texted again. "What does that mean? What did you do?" I didn't reply. I drove to the bank instead. Not the one they use, the other one. The one in my name, with the account they forgot about. Years ago, before everything went to hell, my name was added to a bunch of financial stuff, for convenience. My dad trusted me back then. I was the responsible one. Joke's on him. I never took my name off. And he never remembered. The envelope had all the documents. Passwords. Account summaries. Screenshots. Notes. Things my mom accidentally left in the printer tray last Christmas when she thought I was in the other room. Inside that folder was the blueprint to their secrets. A fund in Florida with $64,000 they told no one about. 3 years of tax write-offs for a fake business they used to siphon money from our grandmother's estate, and recurring transfers to a name I didn't recognize. So no, I didn't block the family account out of spite. I froze it because I finally could. And because I knew once I pulled that thread, everything would start unraveling. That night, my sister called me 7 times. I let them all ring out. Then she sent me a voice message. It was my mom, sobbing, saying she didn't know what was happening, asking why I hated them so much. I listened once. Then deleted it. They weren't ready for discomfort? Fine. I was just getting started. By the time I got home that night, my sister had looped in our cousin Mia, who started blowing up my messages too. She was the self-appointed peacekeeper of the family, always trying to drag everyone back into one big therapy circle. "Can we just talk about this? You're scaring Mom. Is this about Christmas?" It wasn't about Christmas. Or the birthday last year where they forgot to invite me. Or the time they called my son an accident, and said it out loud like it was an opinion. It was about control. It always was. But there was one thing in that folder I couldn't stop staring at. The recurring transfers, same amount every month, going back almost 5 years, to someone named Shelley Dumont. I didn't know that name. Neither did my sister when I asked her casually, without giving anything away. So I did what I had to do. I went online. Reverse searched the name. Got a hit on a tiny real estate firm in Cape Coral, Florida. And guess whose name was also linked to the LLC? My dad's. That's when it clicked. The fund in Florida, the hidden withdrawals, the secret trips he said were for conferences. He'd bought property with someone. Possibly for someone. And unless my mother had suddenly developed a second identity, this Shelley person wasn't her. I sat there, lights off, my kid asleep in the other room, just staring at the screen. They had cut me out for being unpredictable. Said I was too dramatic, too emotional, too much. And yet here they were, living a whole second life behind a curtain they thought I'd never pull open. The funniest part? The real estate LLC was in both of their names. Shelley and my dad. Joint ownership. Public record. Easily found. The part that wasn't funny at all? The transfers were still active. Even yesterday. I took a screenshot and saved it under a new album on my phone. Discomfort. The next morning I woke up to a voicemail from my mom. Short. Shaky. Just her voice asking me to call her. No lecture, no guilt trip. That scared me more than anything. I didn't call back. I forwarded the Shelley info to my sister instead. Nothing else, just the link to the LLC and a screenshot of the wire transfers. No message. It took her 4 minutes to reply. What the hell is this? Is that who I think it is? I'm calling you. Pick up ***. She called. I answered this time. She was whispering, probably hiding in her car again like she always did when family things got too loud. She didn't even say hello. Just started asking questions. Where I got this, how long I knew, what I was planning to do. I told her I wasn't planning anything. That was the point. I wasn't plotting. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was just done pretending I didn't know what I knew. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she said Mom had been acting weird for months. Like she knew something but didn't want to know. She said Dad started taking solo trips to the Keys, but never came back with sunburn or souvenirs. I told her to stop using metaphors and start using Google. Then she asked the question I'd been avoiding. Are you going to tell her? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't know, but because I wanted to hear what it would sound like spoken out loud, that this secret, this bomb, was now in my hands. And maybe the worst part of all was that I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty. Like I had stepped into something that would never wash off. Before she hung up, she asked if I'd talk to Mom. I said I'd think about it. But I already knew. I wasn't going to call. I was going to show her. I didn't plan it. I just got in the car and started driving. My kid was at daycare. The house was quiet. I couldn't sit still anymore. Halfway there, I pulled over at a rest stop and opened the folder again. It wasn't just about Shelley. There were receipts. Hotel bookings. A car lease in Fort Myers under an alias I recognized from Dad's old email drafts. He hadn't even tried to cover his tracks. That part stunned me. Not the affair itself, by then, that felt like background noise, but the laziness. He really didn't think I'd ever look. I got to the house around noon. My mom's car was in the driveway. So was my sister's. I hadn't told her I was coming. Good. I walked up and knocked, harder than I meant to. My sister opened the door and just stared. She knew exactly why I was there. She stepped aside. My mom was in the kitchen. She was still in her robe. Her eyes were puffy. I hadn't seen her like that since the night she found texts on Dad's phone 5 years ago and convinced herself it was a misunderstanding. She looked up when she saw me, and I saw her body stiffen, like she'd braced for a storm she thought might never come. I didn't sit. I didn't take off my shoes. I took out my phone, opened the Discomfort album, and placed it on the counter. I tapped through the screenshots, slow, like I was teaching her how to use her own phone. Her hand went to her mouth. She didn't say anything. My sister stepped out of the room. I think she couldn't handle it. Then my mom whispered something I didn't expect. I already knew. I blinked. She said she'd known about Shelley for almost a year. That they'd been trying to work through it. That she'd gone to Florida once, alone, just to see the place. Said it was worse to confront it than to live around it. That's when I lost it. Not yelling. Just laughing. One sharp, humorless laugh. She flinched. I told her about the transfers. The fund. The fake name. The fact that he used Grandma's inheritance to help set it all up. She just nodded. Like she'd already made peace with it. Like this wasn't news. And for a second, I didn't know who I hated more. Him, for doing it. Her, for accepting it. Or myself, for thinking this would fix anything. That's when she asked something I wasn't ready for. Did you block the family account because of this? Or because of me? ***. I didn't answer. I just picked up my phone and walked out. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at the steering wheel, trying to figure out what the hell I thought I was doing. I'd spent weeks putting this together. Gathering proof like I was building a case. Like once I laid it all out, they'd fall apart and somehow I'd feel... what? Safe. Vindicated. Instead, my mom stood there in a robe and said she already knew. My sister couldn't even stay in the room. And me. I didn't feel better. I felt used. Like I'd done the dirty work no one else had the stomach for. Then my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Florida area code. The message was short. This is Shelley. I think we need to talk. I stared at it. Read it 3 times. No punctuation, no emojis. Just a flat line dropped into my day like a detonator. I didn't respond. Not right away. I drove aimlessly for a while, ended up at one of those grocery stores that looks like a barn. My son liked the little carts with flags on them. I wasn't even shopping. I just walked around with an empty cart, phone in hand, refreshing that one message like it might disappear. An hour later, she sent another. He told me you were dead. I stopped moving. Dead. I walked outside, got in my car, and just sat there. It hit me all at once, in this slow, nauseating way. He hadn't just cheated. He'd rewritten me. Erased me. Built a second life on the lie that I was gone. All those years he'd refused to tell her about me. Said she was just a business partner, or none of our concern. What he meant was, I was an inconvenience. I was the loose end that didn't fit into his clean little story. And if Shelley believed I was dead, that meant she didn't know about my son either. I typed one line back. Where are you right now? She responded immediately. Sent a pin. Some beach rental south of Sarasota. I drove home, packed a small bag, picked up my son from daycare, and didn't tell anyone where we were going. Because if he wanted to live two lives, he was about to meet the one he buried.